All right, fellas, we're back with another edition of Leo G. And we're doing this podcast. Podcasting is like what we like to do. So we got a limited amount of time today, so we're gonna jump right into it, man. I'm gonna pass. And it's on the south side, my man over there, Banks. What's going on, brother?
Mr. Leo, brother.
Hey man, I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good, feeling great, man. It's about that time, man. Spring is in the air because my nose is itching and my eyes are itching. The pollen is everywhere. It's almost, it's that time, man, where a lot of things start to happen around this time of the year, man. I'm gonna pass it out to my man on the east. What's going on, Derek?
What's up, my brother Leo? What's poppin', Banks?
Man,
what it do?
These allergies is what's popping right now, man. This bipolar weather, this pollen everywhere. It's hot, it's cold. The AC on, the AC off. On the heat off, man. I don't know how y'all doing it, man, but I'm feeling jump into this podcast. Y'all doing all right? Both y'all doing all right?
Hey, just look at my eyes. I'll tell you everything that you just said, bro.
Mine too, man. We got, just the eye watering, the nose all congested, the sinus pressure. But we'll get through it. We've been doing this for a long time, man. So we're gonna crank this thing up, man. Podcast today. Got a couple of topics to talk about. We're gonna try to keep it real short for the fans out there. Live on Facebook and on YouTube. Hopefully, we get some interaction. If not, we're gonna do what we do. We're gonna keep it moving. Hey, really quick, if y'all want to take a drink, I don't know if y'all drinking today, but I'm gonna pass it over to Banks. Banks, let everybody know what you got on.
Well, I went with my very first kit, the original 17s kit. My very first, which is dear to my heart. This is what introduced me to the sport. I rocked this at Georgia Tech, and as you can see, no star. So if you soccer fanatic, kind of ignore that. We have a star here, and I didn't get the current one, but I will be purchasing me a new kit this year.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Derek, I see you ready to go. You got your GM's pullover on, don't you?
Hey, man, I just threw this on. So when I get ready to hop off here, and I got a meeting to go to, it ain't got to change. It's just what it is, dog. Sometimes you just got to be easy, simple, and just move from one thing to the next.
Hey, man, absolutely. You got to keep it moving, got to keep it pushing. And since we're doing spring ball right now, man, I felt it only fitting that I throw on their Bravos today. I was feeling the Bravos, man, since we in the springtime. And opening day, Banks, is right around the corner, man. Are you excited about opening day?
I am ecstatic, Mr. Leo. The Braves, is dear to my heart. Not Absolutely. One to pick a one sport in this city better than the Knicks.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, they all equal to me. But like I said, I was, for obvious reasons why I have been born and raised with the Atlanta Braves. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's what's up, man. So yeah, we're just gonna get right into it without further ado. Fit check. It's a Monday, so it's early. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing cracking, fellas. First item on the table today to talk about is before we get anything else, is Atlanta United. Soccer season is upon us. We talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, but we're back. And we're back to a surprising start. Atlanta United, currently, guys, undefeated, sitting at the top of the Eastern standings right now. And sitting behind St. Louis, brand new expansion franchise in St. Louis that's currently undefeated as well. And I know it's very, very early with like 4 games in, but first impressions, Derrico, I know we didn't have a lot of expectations with this team. It's been rocky for the last couple of seasons, but wow, what a start.
Oh, I guess you can say they're in fuego. They're on fire. I mean, you've only lost 1 point basically the whole season. I mean, and you alter the best start in franchise history. And that's saying something considering the teams that we've had before this squad. So I'm just happy to see it. You know what I'm saying? And of course, all the other MLS fans are in their feelings because now the real Atlanta United fans are coming back out strong, chirping. So they don't like that. So, hey, we're going to chirp on.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Like you said, man, I was going to get to that, Derrico, best start in franchise history. The early onset of this franchise, we had some great teams in 2017, 2018. Obviously, we won the MLS championship. But man, these guys are playing very well. And like I said before, no expectations. Before I pass it over to you here, Banks, we didn't know what to see, what form we were going to see out of this team. We lost a key player, Joseph Martinez, who was here with the inception of this franchise. So we just didn't know what to expect going into this season. Well, we're going to lose a produce the goals, who's going to produce opportunities. You had a lot of injuries last year, a lot of key injuries to, of course, Brad Guzan at goalkeeper for us here. And also we had an injury to Miles Robinson, who's coming back. Both, I think, Achilles tears, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy. So they're back. And this is the second year, if I'm not mistaken, for our new head coach. Well, he's not new, second year. Gonzalo Pineda stepping in. Last year with a lot of injuries, we didn't know what to expect. This year, now we're starting to see the form and what we want to be as a franchise. Banks. Because we talked about this. We didn't have any expectations. 4 games in, the small sample size, man. How are you feeling this team?
So far, so good, Leo. I watched the first match, and then I came back and watched the highlights. No thanks to Apple TV, but that's a different conversation. For what I've seen, I am impressed. Don't want to get too far into it, but I know that the players that I admire now is raising eyebrows for me, especially when you alluded to that we lost Joseph Martinez. For me, I thought that was the heartbeat of our team. I thought that it was a big piece that left this organization, only to come back and you see, I don't want to say the name till you say it, but it's a breath of fresh air to see, to watch this team go to an unbeaten streak. So far, so good. So I'm very, 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 very impressed.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I could be thrilled. Derek, been to games this season. You had the opportunity to go up to Charlotte not too long ago to see them on the road, to take them on. We'll get into that here in just a minute. But before we get into the next matchup coming up here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about somebody who has stepped up and become that guy on this team. Mata, one of the biggest MLS transfers in the history, has I'm back on his name. World Cup champion Thiago Almada. For what it's worth, man, and this is a kid too, young, very, very young kid, has come into his own form here with Atlanta United. We saw size of what he could do, but now this year he has taken over as being the guy on this team. Like you said, we talked about losing Joseph. Who was going to be that guy to step up and say, hey, I'm him, I'm that guy. He's taking on that role. And just 4 short games, seen him do some incredible things, not just by MLS standards, but by world football standards. I mean, this guy is incredible. And coming in, but I didn't know, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to sit up, I didn't know he was that good. I'm going to give it over to you, Derrico, man. I have been impressed, intrigued by where this guy is going to take this club. We know the MLS is short-lived with players when they're good. So I don't know how, but with what he's doing now and where he's taking his team, his vision, his striking, we've seen the Golazzos, we've seen the free kicks, man. This is amazing. And like I said, this is not MLS amazing. This is world stage amazing. We're looking at a star in the making, man.
Oh, absolutely. We see a star. And it's funny when you win a World Cup and you come back and just seem like your confidence level just increases, like you have this, this little oomph about yourself. And sometimes that happens. And I think after that trajectory just went high. Confidence level just soared. Them Golazzos, I mean, that free kick this past weekend was just, I just can't even describe it. He just got voted MLS Player of the Week, which is totally deserving. And he's only going to help elevate other players around you. And that's one thing I like about sports. When you have it should elevate the other players around you. And I see that happening with Almada and the rest of the squad.
Absolutely, man. I mean, he's just out there and he's making, like you said, and that's what should happen. When you have that guy with it, he should make everybody else that much better. And that's what he's doing. His runs, his visions, his pick out guys, and just some crazy passes, putting balls on dimes, switches across the pitch. I mean, it's just been incredible. Thanks. I'm gonna give it over to you here. I want to talk to you about something here. The killer instinct is back with this Atlanta United squad. This early on, 2017, 2018, last game against Portland here, they put up 5. They put up a 5-piece on, which was sick, okay? And we talk about wanting our team to have a killer instinct, okay? We're talking about Thiago Almada and what he brings to this table. Is the killer instinct now back with this Atlanta United squad, man? I think it is. What about you?
I think so far so good, Leo. I haven't really, seen the match in real time, except for that one match at the beginning of the season. But for what I've seen, and I'm trying to, I guess, to combat that problem that I have is actually go to the game, Mr. Banks. So I will have to see it for myself. For what I've seen so far, though, Leo, you're absolutely right. It is a killer instinct. To even go past Almada. Please forgive me if I butcher his name, but Mr. Wiley, the
Caleb
young
Wiley.
sensation, Caleb Wiley. I'm very, very just impressed to see these guys perform on the pitch the way they do. Not just those two. I mean, the whole team seemed like they elevated their game, and just I can't put my finger on it. It's like they going for it, and they going for the kill. They going for, once they smell blood in the water, it's basically it's they saying to the opponent, it's our game, match us, and I love it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's reminiscent of the earlier days of this franchise. I go back to Banks when you and I were at Georgia Tech and we witnessed something special that very, very first game over at Bobby Dodd, man. We took a L, watched the very first goal with Yamil Asad, and we saw what this team wanted to be. And we had no idea moving forward that this team and where it is in the MLS is there. It's there. It's a team to be reckoned with. It's a team that a lot of people, like Derrico said, a lot of fans don't like our fans because the players bring it. They bring the energy. And, we've had a couple of years in turmoil, some coaching changes. But I think now, early on, I mean, this is very, very early. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got some international breaks coming up. Of course, we got that crazy international transfer period that'll come up this summer. Speaking about, Thiago Almada, if he continues to play at this level, unfortunately, man, we might see somebody throw big bucks to try to bring him on and take him over to Europe, like we've seen players in the past, like Miguel Almiron, go over to Europe. I'm hoping that we'll be able to hold on to him past that window and try to push for a championship or a shield here. But I'm very, very, very impressed thus far with what we've seen out of this Atlanta United squad. Like you said, Banks, with Caleb Wiley, 18-year-old homegrown, might I add to that, who's done very, very well. in the last couple of starts. I know Derrico, you got to see him firsthand up in Charlotte, score a brace. Then he scored one Saturday against Portland. So exciting times back with Atlanta United, fellas. And we hadn't been able to talk and be this excited about them, but we're back, baby. What's up, Derrico?
Absolutely. I just want to say, you just stole my thunder about Caleb Wiley. That young man has really stepped up his game, and it is apparent that he is feeling himself too. And again, when you have homegrown talent that you see as a result of bringing in someone that young, I mean, it can only get better, and he can only get better as time goes on. And I don't even want to mention, Almada, even, at this point, being looked at and somebody trying to call him up to a spot where he's on a real team. Let me not say real team, over there on the European side of the world. So he may go across there, but we want to hold on to him at least a couple more years. We got to get at least a cup, MLS Cup, out of him before he leaves.
I agree wholeheartedly. Absolutely. I want to see another. Oh, we got a cup. I want to see a shield. Banks, what's up before we move on to the next subject?
I want to also give a shout out to Derek Etienne Jr. That was another guy that we missed over. I think he's played a hell of a opponent of this team success so far.
Absolutely. And I'm probably going to butcher this name, man. I've probably been butchering it for a while here, but Yorgos Yakamakis, the Greek, and we're going to call him our own Greek freak that came over, man, who's playing our striker up there in the front. He's been doing, he wanted to get that first goal on, took his first start against Portland this past Saturday and did get a goal from the homegrown Caleb Wiley, which was wonderful, man. So, I mean, these guys been playing. And another unsung hero, guys, and I want you guys to kind of this kept to pay attention to somebody that's been really commanding the midfield and playing very, very good is Franco Abar. Watch him, guys. We go back to the old days of Carlos Carmona. He was here. Banks, you remember that name. We call him the pit bull in the mid. He was a midfield defender that commanded and was able to collapse down and clamp down and grab balls in the midfield and sweep stuff up. He's been doing a good job. Everybody's been playing their part. Brad Guzan has not really been challenged a lot, and that's to the fact that we've controlled the midfield and the tempo of the game. So, first 4 games, I don't know if teams will start to catch on as to what we try to do, or our talent will just supersede that. But man, I'm pumped. We got a couple of games coming up here pretty soon. Banks, I know you say you're gonna try to make some games, so we're gonna count. I don't know what you got planned for your birthday, but it's a very important game coming up, going up the road to Nashville. We'll talk about that off air. We got another game coming up on April 1st over in the Benz. A lot of games coming up. Got a lot of summer coming up here too, Banks. So, and of course you got the open invitation to come watch the game with, of course, me and Derek, the away matches. And shout out to Footy Mob also for doing the away matches. They got a couple of spots that they're doing away match viewing parties. Derrico, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we got one at Smoky Stallion. Also, we got, if I'm not mistaken, I am saying that correctly, Bobby Harris, and I think we do have another one at the Midway as well.
Yeah, you're correct, sir.
So we got 3 watch parties for away games.
Those are official watch parties.
Official. Footy Mob. Shout out to them. Always shout out to them, man. So you can catch us. So fellas, we got to get together and we're gonna try to, I guess, definitely we'll catch an away game at one of our official watch parties here. We got the whole summer, so we'll look into doing that as well, and a couple of away games that we'll look at to go into as well, man. Off to a great start with Atlanta United. So going into now our second topic, man, we'll talk about NFL, because guess what, fellas? Last week on Wednesday at 4:00, the NFL season has officially started, right? I mean, we just had coming off the heels of the Super Bowl, but it's now back to business. Hey, it's time. It's the NFL as we know it is back to business, and it's time to start talking about moving forward into this 2023 season. So, fellas, we got a lot to get into and a lot to digest, man, because I got to get a lot out of you all, and we only have a smaller window of time. So, want to talk about free agency because that was one of the things that we knew going into the new NFL season we were going to be looking forward to, right? The Atlanta Falcons did not have a lot of money to make a lot of noise here the last couple of years in free agency, but second biggest salary cap space behind the Bears this year. So we knew we had a lot of money to make a lot of noise. This team better. I mean, we patchworked this thing for the last couple of seasons, but now this is where the rubber hits the road, as they say. You know what I'm saying? With Terry and Arthur going into year 3, where do we go? How do we build this team, and how are we going to look? So first and foremost, Banks, I'm going to give it over to you before we start getting into these free agent names. Were you excited with going into free agency this year, knowing the money that we had to spend?
Oh, absolutely. I can't remember the last time the Falcons had money to actually spend at a grocery store. Seemed like in the past we've been trying to shoplift our way to a decent season. Now we actually have money to check out at the cash register and get us players. Finally, I can sit there and be comfortable to know that whoever we can get, we can give them the bag. Whew, my goodness. Yeah, so far so good, you guys. It's not over. It's not over. I think a lot of teams hit the ground running. Our divisional counterparts in Carolina has been swinging for the fences. We are just scratching the surface, I believe. Want to also remind you, Leo, going into next season, I think I read somewhere that the Falcons may have $100 million towards the cap next year. $100 million. That is, oh my goodness.
I can confirm I read the same thing.
Right. Listen.
We did. If you think we did some damage this year, and we'll talk about it here in just a minute, man, you ain't gonna be able to tell us nothing. You gonna be able to tell us nothing next year.
We can pretty much afford anybody we want, going forward. Unless we give somebody the big, gigantic contract. But I think we're kind of ways from that. I think we're in the business of building the team, and I am so happy to see this. I am just tickle pink about actually building a team. Wow, what a concept, right? But it's I feel like it's been a long time coming, y'all. Like we've been put band-aids and spit work on this team, and we're like trying to hope it work, and it don't work. Let's build a team for God's sakes,
Hey, that's what we're doing. Derek, I'll give you the same vibe, man. Going into this off season, because it's been a long time coming. Like Banks just said, man, having some money to spend at the grocery store. We ain't got to go get the Vienna sausages. We can go get some filet mignon and some crab legs or some lobster tails. How did you feel going into this off season free?
Well, you always, I'll just say it like this: when you're dealing with the Falcons, cautiously optimistic. I wanted to see what TF and Smith philosophy was going to be as far as when they had money. How would they target people? Who would they target? How much money they would pay? How would they restructure the contracts? All that good stuff. So with that being said, I am absolutely giddy about the decisions of the free agencies, even signing some of your own guys and structuring the contracts in a way that they're balanced. That means some are front loaded, some are middle loaded, and some are even back loaded, where you have that flexibility in the future. Like we were just talking about, where there's a possibility that we may have up to $100 million next year, where we can go out and really, if we decide that we want to go out and get some big name players, if needed, but it's also going to depend on what we do in April. But I'm just happy, ecstatic.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't be more. So, fellas, we're gonna get into some real tough questions, some real tough talk about this free agency and the signings thus far. Everything up to date. We're not gonna be able to talk about all the free agent signings, obviously. We're gonna talk about some key ones, and I want to guys feel, and also we're gonna talk about tough questions and some tough things that are still lingering with this franchise here. So before we talk about free agent signings, I want to talk about an extension. Chris Lindstrom gets a contract extension. He's now highest paid guard in NFL history. Banks, I'm going to pass it over to you. I know when we drafted this guy, he was a must need. He's been a solid pillar of the offensive line. How do you feel about the extension with Chris Lindstrom?
Did you say solid?
Well, I mean, he's better than what we got. I mean,
I did say.
Listen, he's.
I like that word better. I like a better word than solid.
He's been decent. He's definitely been decent for us. I mean, Derico, come on now. Who can we go better than him? I don't
solid,
think
decent, amazing,
I'm talking about
fantastic.
The last words that you just used. Yes, those last words. Give him his props is what I'm saying.
No,
hey man,
okay.
So hold on.
He's the best lineman on this line. Let's be clear about that.
Best lineman thus far that we've had. I mean, no disrespect to the elder statesman Jake Matthews, but by far athletically and what he's been able to bring to the table as a guard, he's been it. He's been that guy, and he's been of the offensive line. Is that better? Banks, go ahead and finish.
Listen, the guy he's the one on our line. I'd like that one better. He's the one. Yes, that was a must resign, and I'm glad Terry Fontenot saw that, how important he was to this line. Highest paid guard in the league. I'll take that. He deserves it. I so far so good. Like I said, I am a line of scrimmage nut. I want the line of scrimmage fixed. I watch the game. First thing I look at is the line. I don't look at nothing else. What is the line doing? The line breaking down, the line getting pushed back. I'm not interested, because you know what? That means you're soft. You're not going to be able to do what you want to do. You gotta improvise on a lot of plays. If your line is solid, your play's gonna do what it's supposed to do, and that's what that's what I like about my eyes in the football games. It's the line of scrimmage, and that's what the first thing of order of resigning of the importance of Lindstrom. And I'm gonna let you go on, Leo, with your the next guy.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other signings as well. I guess Derico made us give this man his flowers and say how important he was to his offensive line. So it's very, very important. I think Terry Fontenot got this right.
We knew what he was, you guys. I mean, that you don't even need an introduction for him. I mean, he's the guy.
Absolutely. And the story with this kid, man. I mean, we drafted him, man, very, very high. When you draft somebody that high, there are a lot of expectations, man. And I think he has met every expectation as a high draft pick that you can put on him. And not only, on, but off the field, man. This young man lost his mother, I think, to breast cancer last year. But he's continued to be, like I said, just that guy with that it on the offensive line. And the squad is kept. Offensive linemen in the NFL do not get a lot of credit, man. Like you said, Banks, you are one of a few fans that pay attention to the trenches. But offensive linemen they make it happen for your offense. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who your quarterback is. I don't care who your running back is. Offensive linemen are unsung heroes, man. For a guy that played offensive line from the age of 6 all the way up and through college, it is a dirty and nasty job. It's something that, you know what I'm saying, you got to be built for, to play in those trenches as an offensive lineman. Not so much defensive line, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But an offensive lineman, man, you really, really have to be built to be an offense. You have to be built for it to be an offensive lineman, because you're not going to get a lot of accolades, okay? When somebody breaks that 30-yard run, we see the 30-yard run. We see that running back going to the end zone, but we don't see the offensive lineman that's been working over that D tackle the whole game to make sure that the running back can break that run in the third quarter. We don't see the offensive lineman working on the goal line, you know what I'm saying, pushing those guys back to get that inch, to get that quarterback sneak, to get that ball over. So, shout out to Lindstrom and Terry Fontenot and the Falcons organization and getting that done and having that guy here for several more years. So, Banks, we'll move forward here and talk about another person that they just signed on the offensive line as we move into talking about the free agent signing. So Caleb McGarity, his partner in crime on that right side of the line, we let him essentially, we did not franchise tag him. Derek, I'm gonna bring this over to you. We did not franchise Caleb McGarity. We let him go into free agency, but we knew kind of behind the scenes we were gonna work on trying to get that done. And Terry Fontenot does get that done, and we get Caleb McGarity signed. There was a lot of, I guess, uncertainty about Caleb McGarity early on. He kind of struggled a little bit. He had some health issues, but this is a mountain of a man. Playing for the University of Washington. We knew he was raw and had some potential, but this is very, very important before I give it over to you, Derek O, because this says a lot about continuity and keeping guys together. He's played with Chris Lindstrom since they were both drafted in the first round a couple of years ago, and he has made his way. He still has room to improve, but I think with the continuity and what they're trying to build here, it was very, very important to try to bring him back. Derek O, how do you feel about them being able to sign one of our own, Garrity back right after his buddy Chris Lindstrom, his draft mate?
Well, how can I say this without saying what I want to say? I don't know if it was very, very important to sign him or bring him back, because if that's the case, they would have gave him that 5th-year option. I think they really wanted him to go out there and see if he could get the money that he thought that he may have deserved. I do see them really talking to him during the whole time. Don't get me wrong about that. But at the same time, I believe they saved money by not giving him that 5th-year option, because the actual contract really came in averaging about $10 million. So that was a smart move by the front office to not give him that 5th-year option, because you just think about it. He really had 1.5 good years as an offensive lineman. Last year was by far his best year. So I understand the mind game to go out there and say, hey, if you can go out there and get this $12 to $15 million that people was tossing out there that he perceived to have wanted, which we don't know, could have been just all fluff. But at the same time, I was surprised that they did get to sign him at this amount of the contract that they did. So I was actually happy about that. The contract was good. It was good for the team, good for him. And as you said, Leo, the continuity is still there on the right side. So hopefully he won't do like some other cats that get their money and start to slide. That's what I don't want to happen.
Okay. Absolutely. And I think we kind of, as fans, we put a lot into what it's worth about players and trying to get the money. So outside of a few players that represent themselves, I think a lot of players, give that to their agents and let the agents deal with that. I know as fans, we look at it, and Derek O, you brought up a lot of great points about money and price points and where he was and where he would fit alongside some of the better tier offensive linemen in the NFL. And no, they didn't pick up that 5th-year option on him because we call that the prove it year, with rookies. You know what I'm saying? That 5th-year option is what we call the prove it year. Go out and try to prove it and show us that you want to be a part of this organization. Or, you know what? Hey, do what you do. And then, hey, we'll find somebody better, and you can go out and see what you're worth on the marketplace, because that's what free agency is basically the marketplace for NFL players. But I was glad, like you said, it was a smart move by Terry. Terry is showing us that he is listening. He sees what's going on. He understands the NFL free agent marketplace, and he was able to get a great deal done. And I think for the most part, Caleb McGarity, if I'm Caleb McGarity, I want to be a Falcon. This is where I'm learning how to become an offensive tackle. He's had great success in Arthur Smith's system, this run-heavy system. This guy's a road grader. I watched him. He's a very, very good run blocker. Pass blocking is something that he's still trying to learn. But run blocking, I think this guy is huge. He's a mountain of a man. I see him move guys off the ball. So that's what his strong point is. And he's been very successful in Arthur Smith's offensive system. So I'm glad to see him come back. Banks, I don't know if you want to add anything onto that, but you can. But I want to kind of move forward and talking about some of the other free agent signings, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say that, you stole my thunder, that he definitely is a part of Arthur Smith's system, and he fits like a glove. He is, when the run game, he's a road grader. I sat there and watched Algiers run through holes on his side, and I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine what's going to happen in the future with this man? getting better, and whoever running back is back there, he's going to be running free for about 20, 30, 40 yards, so yeah, so spot on, definitely spot on.
Absolutely. So, hey, just so I'm gonna kind of break this down, fellas, and then we'll talk about some of the higher free agent signings and what it means for this organization. Just for time's sake, guys, so we'll gloss over some of the guys that have been signed, and then we'll talk about some of the higher end names and what they mean at their relative positions. Okay, fellas. So first and foremost, as of right now, I don't know if you guys got any more information as to what I got, but the free agent tracker tells me. Obviously, we talked about Caleb McGarity, who was a free agent signing, but some of the guys that are going to, be a vital part of this. I don't want to diminish their roles, but just to call off a couple of names here, Tay Davis, who's a linebacker with the Cleveland Browns, signed with the Atlanta Falcons on a 1-year deal. Cornell Armstrong was a cornerback last year. I know it was a revolving door at cornerback on the other side of AJ Terrell last year, but he is another guy that we re-signed that played on the opposite side of AJ Terrell. Bradley Pinion, who was our punter. We didn't have a lot of consistency in the special teams at the punter position. We re-signed him in free agency here. Just found out, I think today we signed a wide receiver, which is very important. We were looking for another wide receiver, Matt Hollins, a guy coming from the Las Vegas Raiders. We signed as well. So, and also another staple of that Arthur Smith running game, Keith Smith was re-signed, fullback that was brought back in. It's a lost form with the fullback in this new age offense, but he proved very, very vital in certain situations with Keith Smith. So now let's move on to some of these more important signings, so we can talk about it and get into the meat of it here. Derek Coleman, bring it over to you. A signing that was I guess we're looking for a lot of stuff on defense, but this was another one of our guys that was here, and we all discussed about bringing him back, and that was Lorenzo Carter. If I could sign Lorenzo Carter, bring him back, he performed very, very well. Derek, tell me how you feel about Lorenzo Carter and then bringing him back and what we want to do moving forward with this defense.
It was a good move. I like the move. I like Lorenzo Carter, and I think another year in this, well, I won't say this defense. I don't know how this defense is going to look, but apparently now you got somebody that you can depend on on the edge. So I like Lorenzo Carter signing. It was just a smart move, veteran guy. So you good. And that's all I'll say about him.
Banks, I'm going to bring it over to you here with Lorenzo Carter. I know we talked about him and what he did, made some spectacular plays this past season. How do you feel?
Listen, he's a veteran. And, anything as a veteran on that defense is, especially when he did that well, it's a plus. You had to retain that. Nothing bad that he's done. I mean, when you look at that defense last year, you like everybody can go. Everybody can go. I mean, it's just there was nothing to keep.
Damn, AJ Terrell could go.
Everybody can go. Everybody can go. I mean, that's how disgusted I was with the defense. But taking emotion out of it, though, Carter was a important piece on that defense. A veteran of his magnitude, and going to these guys that's coming in young, especially with this draft coming up, veteran leadership is very, very underrated in my opinion, especially with a young team like the Falcons.
Absolutely, man. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's a Georgia Bulldog. You know what I'm saying? So bring him back. We don't know where he's going to fit. Obviously, we got a new defensive coordinator. Don't know where he's going to fit in the scheme of things. The new defensive coordinator has been keeping everything close to chest as far as what he wants to do defensively, man. But I think he'll be one of those. He's a versatile guy. I think that's one of the key. When you talk about defenses in this day and age and what offenses bring to the table, you want guys that are versatile, right? This is not our grandfather's NFL where player specific to one position. You want guys that are able to do things and move around, especially on that defensive front. And I think Lorenzo Carter has proven that he could do a lot of things and he's very, very versatile. So I'm excited about re-signing Lorenzo Carter. All right, so let's get into the meat of what everybody wants to talk about, some of these higher tier free agent signings. One of the first ones that I want to talk about is, and I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but David Onyemata. Okay, hopefully I pronounced that right. David Onyemata, a defensive tackle that comes over from our rivals, the New Orleans Aints, right? What an intriguing story about this guy. Nigerian born, goes to Canada, plays at Manitoba, gets drafted into the NFL and plays for the Aints. Banks, I'm gonna bring it over to you. We have some history with this guy. We've got to see him firsthand in the interior. He's a large man. We bring him in to play next to Grady Jarrett to give him some help. We've had a revolving door at the other defensive tackle position. We haven't really had somebody solid that can play 3 downs and get pressure next to Grady. How do you feel about this signing? How do you feel about him? And have you had a chance to actually look at some film, or do you remember him wreaking havoc against us? Because I do. But go ahead and give us your take on that signing.
Yes, I remember. I cannot forget. Let me tell you something. When Ryan Nelson came over here from the New Orleans Aints, this was a Ryan Nelson pick. Okay, don't fool yourself. Okay, they went into this free agency and said, Ryan Nelson, what you think? What do you think we should do on this defensive line? He probably said, "Up, hold that thought. Hey, my man, can you go ahead and unpack your bags and head on this way?" This dude was already in the works when he came over. Do not fool yourself. I am so stoked about this guy. I don't need to watch film on him. I already know what this man can do. I've seen this dude push my offensive lineman backwards. So I don't need to see nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I know what this
Roller
man can
skates.
do. Roller skates. I'm talking about roll bounce. I mean, skating backwards and everything. I want nothing but high praise of, to what Ryan Nelson is doing. And by the way, and you know what I do, Leo and Derico, I go and I snoop on enemy lines. I sit there and see what the other teams, other fans are doing. And they were kind of lukewarm about him leaving, but I'm going to go forward. I'm going to move forward once you move forward about what they were thinking later on, but they're not too happy. They're not happy at all, to be honest with you. But go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm very, very excited and ecstatic about it. Like I said, I watched him firsthand. We watched him, put our offensive lineman on roller skates. So I'm now glad he's on the other side of the table and he gets a chance to play next to Grady Jarrett, who's been the best defensive lineman we've had over the past several years. He's been solid and he's been a great staple for us. So Grady maybe gets a little bit of pressure off his back, right? We talked about, Derek, I'm going to bring it over to you. We talked about Grady needs to do more. He needs to do more. Okay. He's not Aaron Donald. Grady Jarrett is who he is. I love Grady Jarrett. There's no knock to Grady Jarrett. But this guy now gets some legit solid help. And like you said, Banks, with our new DC, Ryan Nelson coming over, he knows this guy firsthand. He knows this guy intimately. He knows what he's capable of. He knows his strengths and weaknesses. He's going to put this guy in a position to be successful. Derico, how do you feel about this free agent signing?
I was actually happy. And when I went on Twitter, Banks, I read stuff too. So when I went on Twitter and the first person I see that commented about this signing was Cam Jordan. He said, "Did you see how strong that dude is?" Because somebody was trying to knock him on the Saints roster because he signed with the Falcons. He was like, "No, that is the strongest dude that I ever seen." Basically, so he knows that we just got us a ball player, and Cam Jordan ain't the one to give no praises over here on the Atlanta side, but he gave his props.
Let me go ahead and also say that he said at Terry, basically saying, you really doing this in because all these players that you're bringing over to the enemy,
yes,
all the key players that we thought that the Aints was going to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
Well, they had no damn money to keep him, but go ahead, Banks.
That is true. I mean, but they always find money, but they understand that kicking that can down the road is just going to give out a steam, and it gave out a steam because you lost 3 defensive linemen in one free agency period.
Absolutely. And I'm not gonna shed a tear for him. I'm not gonna shed a damn tear for him. So moving forward, like I said, I think we all in agreement, man. One of a great signing, Derek, a great point, one of the strongest guys that was on that team, man. And he comes over here excited about seeing him. And he got a contract that he deserved, I think, deservedly, man. Once again, interior defensive linemen, they're not the sexier guys, but they do a lot of work. People always talk about edge rushers, right? But guess what? Edge rushers get a lot of their push from the interior. The interior commands double teams. They do stunts, things like that. If you watch football, you understand interior defensive linemen do a lot to help that pass rush, man. So, and this guy, he likes to get to the quarterback. I've said, hey, man, this dude, we know firsthand he likes to get to the quarterback. So moving forward here, as we move on, talking about another, let's go ahead and talk about another guy that came from the Aints. Caden Ellis, we signed a linebacker from the Aints. Not a lot known about him. I know he started to come into his own and flourish. So give credit to Terry Fontenot and Ryan Nelson, probably, like you said, Banks, by saying, okay, hey, this is another guy I'm going to hitch to my wagon and bring to Atlanta. Banks, how do you feel about Caden Ellis and bringing him on? Look like he started to find a nose to get to the quarterback as well.
This is the pick that I'm excited about. I watched him. I remember him when we played the Saints last season. And he gave us fits, guys. I don't know if you guys remember, but he put Ritter on his butt. And he gave a lot of pressure up that middle, would make Ritter like throw the ball like out of bounds or incomplete. Rewatched that game, and he was all over that line. Not saying that's a lot that means anything, because our line was just, when it comes to pass protect, it wasn't up to par. But I like his motor. I love what he gave to that team. This is the guy that that opposing fan base was basically going over the edge for. Like, really, you gonna give this guy who had the most upside to the Falcons, our main rivals? He could have went anywhere. But don't send him there. Now we got to see him twice a year. I'm excited about this guy. If anybody who's watching this show who don't know anything about Caden Ellis, please pull him up. Watch this guy. I love this man on this linebacking core. I love it. Absolutely love it. Another pick for our defensive coordinator, Ryan Nelson. Another gem.
Absolutely. Derek Cole, your thoughts on Caden Ellis as we move forward here with a couple of more free agent signings?
Yeah, I want to be transparent. I wasn't too sure of who he was until I started looking and digging a little deeper into this guy. Love the fact that we can put him in multiple positions on the defense. He don't have to just line up at linebacker. He can line. I believe he can really get on that edge and come off that edge as well. And that's the thing that I love about this particular linebacker here. He's definitely an upgrade to anything that we've had. So we're just going to start there. Definitely an upgrade. So I'm excited to see, and like Banks is saying, his trajectory should be going this way. And we get him on a very, very, very reasonable deal.
Absolutely, man. Great pickup. Like you said, man, we talk about versatility. We talk about guys that can line up all over the place. I think this is one of those guys, an underrated guy. And I'm hoping that he brings that same energy, that same fire, like you talked about, Banks, that he had when he was with the Aints, and just bring it here because we need it. We need all the help we get up in the front seven, man, and get after the quarterback. Let's be real about this. Let's make no qualms about it. This has been the weakest point for this franchise for the last 2 decades, and we need all the help we can get. So, I will give a round of applause to Terry for helping, and Ryan Nelson, our new defense coordinator, for helping to address it. So, man, all the help, I'm here for it. I am here for it. So, look, let's talk about another free agent signing, probably the biggest, if you want to say blockbuster free agent signing, because we talked about it. This wasn't really a sexy free agent, period. There wasn't a lot of sexy names. I mean, there were a lot of guys, a lot of ballers out there, But like, you know, those household names, there weren't a lot of guys out there. But this is probably one of the highest guys that was out there that we wanted to try to see if we can get. And I know Derek Cole, you in particular, was very, very adamant about them getting this done. And this is the safety that we signed over from the Bengals, Jesse Bates III. This guy I think is going to be incredible and phenomenal. So we talk about the front seven. Let's talk about the back for a minute, man. The secondary is just as important, having guys back there. Go back to Ricardo Allen probably being one of, and let's be real, I'm going to say this about Ricardo Allen. He wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, obviously, but, man, he was a guy that was what we call a true football player, man. He put everybody in position. You never saw Ricardo Allen let anything get behind him. We haven't had a safety presence like that since he left. So now we bring in Jesse Bates, who was probably one of the higher end free agents that, you know, we got money. Let's spend it. Let's get one of these guys. Jesse Bates III is that guy. I'm bringing it over to you, Derek Cole. My opinion here, hell of a signing to shore up the secondary with an AJ Terrell and moving into the draft to probably get some more help in the secondary. Man, this dude is a baller. He is in the right place at the right time. But one of the key things with playing safety, other guys in the right place at the right time. And that's what he did with the Bengals. Guy out there moving around, moving those pieces, watching everything. And another thing is I watched with Jesse Bates is that he didn't let plays get behind him. I didn't see a lot of plays get behind him. That's what you want as a safety. Your safety is your safety valve. You don't want to get behind you. This guy's a ball hawk. We saw him get interceptions. I think that another home run by Terry in signing this guy. Derek Cole, how do you feel about signing Jesse Bates III?
Oh, this absolutely was the biggest free agent signing of this period. And I said that right, period. Because he probably was the more sought out person. And the one thing you said about the defense, just like on the offense, you got the quarterback runs control everything, makes the calls, whatever. That's the same thing that the safety does on the opposite side of the ball on defense. His presence will be much needed. I've seen this guy run sideline to sideline, and I hadn't seen the safety run that fast since that dude that used to play for Pittsburgh. That's how quickly. That's how quickly he gets from point A to point B from the middle of the field. And we don't only need he can play one deep safety. He can play that. And I think that's one of the things that's probably attracted to them, that he can play that one deep safety, and you can bring your other safety up against a line of scrimmage to help either with a tight end or run stoppage. Because he got it covered.
Bring it over to you here, man. We're getting close to time, and there's a couple of other guys I want to talk about here. We have to bring it back, obviously, run it back. I want you to give your thoughts about Jesse Bates III as we move forward. I want to talk about a couple more things before we close this show out. We might go a little bit over the hour mark, but I think we'll be good on time. Banks, your thoughts on Jesse Bates III?
One thing I noticed about when we picked up Jesse Bates is that I am very confident of what Terry Fontenot in the front office has observed. All of us have know that, being a Falcon fan, that the weakest part of the defense is what? The middle of the defense. I mean, the defensive tackle, the linebackers, and the safety position. Everybody exploit everything the Falcons do in that middle. And guess what we just did, y'all? We addressed every level in the middle so far with some quality players. That means they're paying attention. That tells me we might be in good hands, guys. You know, I hear what you say about the pass rush, the corners. That's going to come. But like you said, Leo, you take care of the defensive tackle to help your pass rush. You keep your linebackers core in some up-to-date talent to keep an eye on that line. And then you got your secondary to back them all up. I love it. I totally love the pick. Love it.
All right. Hey, so look, fellas, we're coming up here close on time. We're going to have to come back want to get too far off into this because I know this could be a subject that could go on for quite some time. But the last free agent sign I want to talk about, and I'm going to give the floor to each of you guys to talk about this as we close this out. And I just want you guys to give your input as to where we stand as a franchise when I drop this. Before we close this out, where are we, and where is your level of confidence moving? Talk about this next signing. Taylor Heinicke. We signed Taylor Heinicke, quarterback from the Washington Commanders. Back in the quarterback room, right, guys? We had expressed that. We knew it was going to happen. We actually have 3. Logan, we brought him in last year. Hey, man. Hey, it is what it is. So we bring in Taylor Heinicke. Guys were pressed for time. Unfortunately, we didn't get the time that I wanted to get into. But I'm gonna start with you here first, Banks. We knew we needed some veteran. We knew we were gonna look for a veteran person at quarterback. All right. Far off into the weeds with this. First and foremost, give me your thoughts about Taylor Heinicke. Right? And what I want you to do is, after you give me your thoughts on the signing of Taylor Heinicke, give me your confidence level as to where you see this team in the quarterback room right now. We'll get into another conversation here for another podcast. Your thoughts about signing Taylor Heinicke, and now where your confidence level is with the quarterback room here with the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, the Taylor Heinicke was a safety net. They already said that Ridder is the starting QB. That's just all you need to know. He's backing up Ridder. My confidence level, I'm still on a 5 to 6 range between 1 through 10. Haven't seen a lot of Ridder, but I'm not saying that he's going to be bad. That's not fair to him. And I'm not going to say he's going to be the next one, because we don't know. So until we get a more sample size of what he can do, then that's where we can go forward. I think this is still a trial period, guys. I think, like I said, it's another discussion about how we utilized him this past season, which is I don't agree with, but it is what it is, and here we are.
Not enough. 4 games is not enough to get an assessment as to what you have at any position, let alone the quarterback position, the most important position you have on. We're running out of time here, man. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this, man, but I want you to give me your thoughts on the signing of Taylor Heinicke, and where do you feel, as of right now, your confidence level in the quarterback room here with the Atlanta Falcons?
I like the signing. I was a sneaky fan of Taylor Heinicke. I'm just going. I put that out there. I've told multiple people that. I like his game. Sometimes you're in a bad situation, and it makes it even worse. Now, as far as how that translates with Ridder, I think as far as the backup situation, I feel this is the most confident that I felt in our backup situation since the first time Matt Schaub was here.
Time to tell. I want to get into a little bit more, fellas, man, but we coming up against the mark. We've done well with keeping our time frame, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. We'll leave it open, and we'll be able to do something next Monday and take a deeper dive into the quarterback situation here with the Falcons, and also move forward into April, into the draft, and what we have to look forward to in there. I wanted to get into it, but we just didn't have enough time. Also, we didn't have enough time to talk about our Atlanta Hawks. Good God, man. That's another whole 30, 40 talk about those cats, man. But look, yeah, man. As for me, the Taylor Heinicke sign, man, is a security thing. We have, has been solid, man. He's a hometown kid, and I think that we just bought ourselves some insurance. Like you said, Banks, enough about Desmond Ridder. We just don't. We got ourselves some insurance. We still got the draft here moving forward. We do have another guy by the name of Logan Woodside who probably be selling insurance next year, man. No shade to Logan Woodside, man. But he is, as of right now, he's in that quarterback room, guys. So,
man, stop mentioning that dude's name. They're going to draft a quarterback.
It's a lot to unpack with the quarterback. Hey, we'll leave that to the next. We'll leave that to the next.
No,
podcast.
you're not going to say that name ever again. Just erase it from your memory.
Please, let's
I
not do
gotta
this.
say, that's my son name, man. I gotta say Low.
No, you don't. Unless you calling your son. But don't mention that dude
So-
ever again.
It's a lot. So listen, it's a lot to unpack with that conversation, man, because there are some other things that we need to address and we need to talk. I think that it's gonna be therapeutic when we start to talk about it. But listen, fellas, we're at the end of the show. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on and doing it. I think got a lot out, got a lot to talk about, got a lot more down the road that we want to discuss and talk about, man. Banks, before we close this thing out, let them know where they can find you. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook, or you can find me at Baby Banks 80 on Twitter or the gram. Inbox me. I had a person that hit me up saying that he saw my show, and I was honored. I'm like, really? You watched the show, but you didn't comment? So people are looking, and if you're seeing you're trying to be shy, please hit me up and let me know, saying that you are a fan of the show.
It goes down in the DM. Hey, look, Derrico, man, let them where they can find you at, man. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can catch me on Facebook at Stacy D Derrico. You can catch me on the Twitter at VSU96SDD. You can catch me on IG at Derrico_Virgo. You can catch me on Snapchat at DJ Derrico6. And right now, if you really want to catch me, it's traveling on this volleyball.
TikTok.
No, volleyball. You can catch me at the volleyball tournament. No.
Catch him at the volleyball tournament.
Yeah, dog.
Catch him outside. How about that?
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, as always, man, you can catch us Leo G Show, the Leo G Show, the #1 on Twitter, Leo G Show, the #1 on Twitter. Also, you can interact with us on our Facebook page. We got a few interactions on the Facebook page, man. People are actually watching the show. Shout out to everybody that's been commenting on the show and personally giving us props about. We do. We talk about sports. There's a lot of content out there, but we thank each and every one of you guys that check us out and listen to us and how we feel from a fan's perspective. We do because we love it and we're passionate about it. We're passionate about all our. As you can see, we representing 3 of the 4 major teams in this. What we do. We love doing it. So we're definitely going to bring this back. Hopefully next Monday, schedules permitting, we'll do this again and finish up kind of talking about some of the things that we didn't get to talk about in this episode, fellas. This has been another edition of the Leo G Show. We're going to be out.
Shout out to the new NHL hockey team coming.